Ba, 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 ba. Drum roll.
And we're on.
And here we are. Woohoo! Good morning, everyone.
Hello.
Feng Shui Friday. Wow. Woohoo! Cheryl and Anita are here. And
Pretty in pink today.
and we didn't even coordinate costumes today, but look at that. We're both pretty in pink.
Yay.
Yay.
I have to do a shout out because this morning we've already had a meeting. As you've heard us mention a couple times, Anita and I are in the process of writing a book with Ignite Publishing and Lady JB Owen. And this morning, one of her team met with us to start working on our bios, which was really interesting. And so much more to it than I ever thought.
Yeah, and my brain does work at 7 a.m.
Yeah.
Who knew, right?
So good morning, Grace.
Funny.
Now that you got us awake and our brains active and ready to roll. We're on a roll.
And so there's a couple of reasons that we had to work on our bio, because we are going to be participating in some online and live events, as speakers, presenters. We, like you say, the book. I also am going to be a guest on Healing Wednesday. If you don't know what that is, go over to cryonmasters.com. And my dear friend, spiritual teacher, Lee Carroll, and his partner, Monica Morani, will be interviewing me. Whoa, so I'm so excited for that. And yeah, lots of really cool things happening.
Isn't that exciting? So mark on your calendars, November 9th.
November 9th.
That's when Anita will be the guest speaker on Healing Wednesday. It starts at 6 p.m. Pacific. And trust me, you'll hear about it between now and then too.
Oh yeah, we're going to tell you lots about it. Every week we're going to remind you, put it in your calendar, tell your friends, all that stuff.
So here's something interesting, because someone asked me this question a little while ago when we were talking about Healing Wednesday and Feng Shui, and they said, so what does Feng Shui have to do with healing?
Oh, so much.
Right? We don't see the correlation between our environment and our health. And we can't give everything away, of course, but we could give them a little taste.
Right. So for example, let's see. Okay. So I was over last weekend at my sister's for a wedding, stayed overnight, and she has got a new husband. She's a newlywed. They moved into his house. His wife, his previous wife, she's deceased. She passed away from a lengthy illness. Okay. And so now my sister's living in the new house and whatever. And they have a large staircase, and there is a chairlift. We've all heard the commercial Acorn stair lift for when you're older, blah, 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 right? So he had installed the chairlift in the home when his wife was ill, and
of course
their bedroom was upstairs. And so I'm not going to tell, it's been many years since his wife has passed. He now has a new wife, but the chairlift is still there. And so I took my sister aside. Her and I've talked about this before. I took her aside and I said, okay, you have to lovingly talk to your husband, and that thing needs to be removed from the home, because what it's doing is it's anchoring the subliminal message that someone is not capable of going up the stairs. But it's also for her new husband, there is that remembrance or that recollection the subconscious mind has, that he was the caregiver, and that it's his responsibility to care for and look after and all of those things. And we know from our spiritual holistic work that we are all transmitting and receiving information through energetic frequency. And so you might just think it's something, right? But in fact, it's reinforcing neural pathways in the brain, and the subconscious mind is going to transmit that information, and everything is a mirror and or a magnet, and it's going to come back, right? So I'm very concerned for both of them, for their health. And not only that, but there are things in the home, and some people listening now or in the future, whenever you're listening, if you have items in disrepair, did I freeze, Cheryl? Cheryl froze. Oh, see, so it was her, it wasn't me. Okay, well, yay, let's go on. Oh, that's so funny. Cheryl froze, and just a minute, I gotta get the comment thing. And I'm on my own. Okay, I'm on my own. Well, there we go. So Cheryl was asking me about, what does wellness or health have to do with Feng Shui? And as I was, telling you that story, but, here's the other thing that I noticed, that there were minor things in the home that were in disrepair. Okay. And again, it can be just really subtle things, but we all know that, over time, just those little things pile up. It's no different than in a relationship, right? Sometimes we let those little things slide, and that, maybe they're bothering us, maybe your husband doesn't put his cup in the dishwasher, whatever, little things. But over time, they accumulate into something bigger, and all of a sudden it's like it has to just go, right? The energy has to be released or let go of. And so that's, what's happening in our home environment when we have those subliminal messages that are just, giving us little bits of information, disrepair. So, yeah, that was the answer to the question. So if I'm on my own, then I guess I better get shuffling here. So every Friday, we never know what the topic of the day is, and we use the personal paradise card deck from Tara Catherine Collins, our teacher, friend, mentor, and to decide what the topic or the subject of the day is going to be. And, we've already talked a little bit about health, subliminal messages, right? So let's just see what other card just flew out on my lap. Oh, two of them, just like that. And if Cheryl is back joining us, then, I think she is, maybe not. Then she might have had two cards jump out for her. And, okay, so you can't make this stuff up, right, Kathy? So the two cards, you just saw me, I was shuffling, right? And this card says hallways and stairways. Okay, I was just talking about the stairways. And this card is ceilings. So I love that. So yeah, I don't know that we've had hallways come up before. And so it's really interesting that hallways are kind of considered, a non-space or a non-room. And a lot of times, we go into homes and there could be a really long hallway or a short hallway. But the thing to know about hallways is that they mimic the energy of a river. Okay. So if you had a long, expansive river, and the opening or the banks of the river, were like this, then what would happen is the river would run really fast, right? Because the space would be narrower and long. It'd be a fast flowing river. If the banks of the river were wider, and maybe there was a little curve or something, the river, the water itself would run slower. So again, we look in our home and see if we have this long staircase, then we know that the chi or the energy is flowing very quickly down the hallway. And this is particularly important to note if there are anybody out there with small children and a long hallway, or same with the staircase. If it's a long staircase, the children, if they're always running up and down the staircase, or they're running down the hallway, then that is a clue. It's an indication that that space, the chi, is moving too quickly. So then what do? Well, again, we bring something in to that space that is going to take our attention away, draw our eye away. So in a hallway, you could do a nice little collection or vignette, on a wall with, a collection of pictures. Maybe you could have a hallway mirror, or, so that it kind of deflects back the chi, so it slows it down. If you had a narrow hallway, you could again put a mirror so that it helps to widen it, so it feels like that slower moving river. Again, every home is, kind of unique on its own, and we would have specific, recommendations. But it's really interesting how just by the placement of a few things that you can actually slow that energy down. And then it's the same with the stairway, right? So a lot of times people will put their artwork so it follows the line of the staircase, on an angle, and they'll put their artwork so that it is stepped down. And so what that's doing then is it's amplifying that energy of that fast flowing staircase. So again, you're better off to hang your pictures horizontally, vertically, and on a horizontal kind of plane, so that it slows the energy down. It's not mimicking that slant, right? So if you got your staircase like this, you want to hang your pictures from there up. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. And then the other card, card number 19, is ceilings. And ceilings, again, as natural beings, we feel the most comfortable and safe when we are, grounded. It's kind of like, I don't know if you've ever climbed, something like the Eiffel Tower, or maybe the Statue of Liberty, or, in Alberta, we have the Calgary Tower. Like, if you've ever, or even, a mountain, or been on a gondola or something like that, when you get to a certain height, you automatically start to kind of dizzy, and you're not feeling, you grab the railing, even though you're safe, right? Even though everything is up to code or whatever, there's nothing that could happen to you, you still feel that imbalance. And so we feel that way in our home when we have this expansiveness overhead and we have high ceilings. And so where we feel the most comfortable is like a 9-foot ceiling and below. So again, if you have a home that has this huge grand entry and it goes into the living room, and it's, this 20-foot ceiling, something like that, what you will notice is that your family, or, visitors that come to the home, don't feel comfortable. They don't feel safe sitting in that space, and they'll always gravitate to another area of the home that has, that has that feeling that they're grounded. And so that's usually areas that have 9-foot or lower ceilings. So it's really, really interesting just to look and see what the results that are currently showing up in your home in regards to, staircases and hallways. Do people, walk fast? Is there, what's there to kind of slow them down or speed them up? And then which rooms in the home do people gravitate towards? And that will kind of be a gauge to say, this is the ceiling height. This is where, I feel the most comfortable. Things like that. Okay, any comments, any questions in there? Hi, Sharon. Good to see you this morning. Thank you. My partner, she had internet problems this morning. You just never know. And we were already on a Zoom at 7 a.m. And the numbers of the cards are, ceiling is number 19, which equals a 10. Hallways and staircase is number 38, which is 11. Love that. 11 is one of my favorite numbers. And so together we have 21, which equals a 3, which is a catalyst. So again, 3 is, it's about movement. It's about looking at something differently. And so you could definitely look at your hallways, your staircases, your ceilings, and just see how, what's showing up, what are the results, right? And yeah, I don't know what happened to Cheryl, but anyways, all good. Let's see. Cheryl will say, what? She's going to be done talking early. That never happens. Yeah. And it is really interesting, like I say, with the home that, and hey, if anybody needs a acorn stair lift, somebody physically actually needs one, reach out to me. I'll put you in touch, because you can have one, have one installed. And yeah, we were talking earlier too, Cheryl and I, about the importance of creating a healthy environment in our home. And that is, having healthy plants. It's having, the items, and it can, again, that's that subliminal messaging, those small things, having those items in your home that are in disrepair, just that little bit. It could be, just that little baseboard. It could be a little nick on the wall. It could be, it could even be something in your own wardrobe. I had that before, where I had this jacket that I absolutely loved, and the button had fell off, so it was in disrepair, right? And I didn't take the 2 minutes to sew the button on. I actually had to become aware of it through teaching and whatever. It was like, okay, how come I'm not wearing that jacket? Oh yeah, because it doesn't have a button. Oh, but aren't you worth it? Right? So it all comes down to then a level, or the degree in which you love yourself is being anchored and or reflected by how you respect, care for, and value anything in your home, including light bulbs, including, just again, those little subliminal messages that are going to, the neural pathways are going to be picking up. Yeah. And Sharon says, Feng Shui can definitely enhance our health. 100%. 100% it can totally shift, because again, if you know the workings of the body, and when our body is under stress and we are in disempowering emotions, then what happens is the chemistry in our body starts to respond to that by sending, hormones like cortisol and adrenaline that are not good for our overall health and well-being. So if you're living in that environment that is feeling, stressed and you're all pent up with that kind of energy all the time, and then you don't sleep, and, it just keeps snowballing and snowballing. And so when we start to work from the outside, right, from the outside in, then you can remove some of those stresses, and then the stress response is lessened. And if you start to then, feel more joyful, more, happy and content in your home environment, then your autonomic nervous system responds with happy hormones, right? And those are beneficial. And then all of a sudden your body says, oh, yay, this is great, and off they go to do your own healing. Yeah, so it's just really interesting how everything is connected and being reflected. And when we put on our Feng Shui eyes, then we start to have a different perception. And then we also then have the tools to shift, to make some changes. And that's that number 3, that catalyst. Yeah. So, I think that's all I've got this morning. It doesn't look like my partner's going to come back and join me. So I hope everybody has a super wonderful weekend. And just, look at those ceilings, hallways, staircases, and just have a different look at them and see what's going on. Yeah.